Let me put this aside. Man, it's whatever. Ish. Ever since I started streaming, I've started experiencing a paranoia, like privacy, about the desktop. I do some not so sensitive things, but I feel creeped out a little bit. I'm not so open entirely to streaming, and I'm not so comfortable with making mistakes and certain windows showing up, etc., etc. So anyway, it's whatever. I had a stream going like 5 minutes ago. Then I realized that there's no audio. And somebody hit me up. Yo, hit me up again. Your text came up then. Then when I ended that stream, I can't see you no more. I want to say what's up to you. And thank you for letting me know that the audio is not coming through. Would you tell me if it's coming through now? I hope you will. And so, today, we're going to be looking at one story. We're going to be looking at Colonel Chris Wyatt. We're going to be looking at Elon Musk. We're going to be looking at Donald Trump and the fight, round 2, actually, that we are now watching. It was the first time when Elon Musk said that Trump is in the Epstein files, and then he would later delete the tweets and say some kind of apology, stating that what he had said had been a bit too far maybe. And so he would be quiet for some time. But we know his cry. It's one about the American people not properly being represented either by the Democratic National Committee or the Republican National Committee, the left and the right. He says that there's a missing middle, and he's been talking about starting a Maibuye, like Floyd Shivambu, starting a party that will represent those who've been disenfranchised. Is that a word? Those who've been alienated, those who've been driven away, cast to the wayside by the political parties they've been so passionately following and supporting. Yeah. So we are here, and there's an issue. We knew that Elon Musk was not going to keep quiet for very long. That is a very big issue. If a billionaire is going to tweet about it, he's been living there, he's been in the White House. The White House gave him some credibility to speak on some issues, as much as they now want to distance themselves so much, to the extent of Trump calling for him to be deported. Hey, we still remember that Elon Musk was just in the White House over there, standing next to Trump with his son. We did these videos. We were right here. So we're going to take his word, and we're going to listen to him very intently. We're going to pay attention to what he's talking about, and that is the starting of a new party. And I think that is rattling some very, 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 very serious nerves in the United States. That is a bit of a disruption. We know, we who are in this so many party electoral political system in South Africa, where there's like 16 or so. I don't know. I'm not even sure how many parties there are, bro. But we've got so many that we can actually tell that, hey, man, the United States elections are quite orderly. There's only 2 camps. You know, these ones are progressive. Wantola, they want to get away from old mentalities. They want to get away from racism, so it seems. They want to get away from traditional families and relationships. They want to be gay. They want to, not marry, be polygamous, they want to not go to church. And then there's the other camp over there. Hey, these ones have the old traditional style, these ones. They love guns, they are warmongers, they are mixed with Christians and Jews, that side. They are acting all conservative, and they are racists over there. They love borders, they love family, they love having children and whatnot. And so you just have to choose between these two camps. Ne? So we are able to see that this order, this sanity that we can see, and some of us would hope for such, would hope for the progressive forces to all come together this side, and those neoliberal forces to all come together that side, and then see shy two parties. You see, we wish for that system. But now, Elon Musk is looking to interrupt that by introducing a third party, and that is having Trump going with sleepless nights. I'm sure the deep state is calling him, yo, bro, this cannot happen. The United States will be unmanageable if some third party emerges over there and we don't have a hold on, that, and it's fully controlled and held by a billionaire, Elon Musk. You know what I'm saying? So, he's going to be deported, and we're going to be looking at a video here from Bloomberg. We've got, who is it here? It's the female host, I don't know her, but that is Ed Ludlow. Check him every morning on Bloomberg Tech. And then we're going to look back at Colonel Chris Wyatt, who commented on the previous fight between Trump and Elon Musk. Twitter drama sparks refugee fears. Are we live? I saw some likes going. Does everybody just sleep today? It's all good. Cool. Anyway, so we're going to be looking at his comments. I remember in the last fight, Colonel Chris Wyatt said that the refugee program is not at risk at all in any way whatsoever. You understand? And he said that this fight between these two guys is just, a little squabble between two billionaires with big egos, etc., etc. And now we are really interested to see and hear what he has to say about this new breaking drama where Trump is seeming to join with the Steve Bannon, who we heard and covered as well the other time, saying, let us deport Elon Musk. And not only Elon Musk, but the South Africans. So, we know harder Americans out there are not happy with the Amerikaners being there. Those who are America first are wondering, did we actually vote for this? And the answer is, hell no. They didn't vote for Amerikaners to be there. So Trump, who tried to lean a little bit towards Elon Musk and his South African agenda, his sympathy towards the Afrikaners here, he might start leaning away from that. He might start leaning towards his MAGA hardcore base. And he might now just turn around on the whole Afrikaner thing, and we really might see Colonel Chris Wyatt with egg on his face. He does not know the future. He is a mere mortal. These events are changing and unfolding extremely, extremely fast. And really, I am curious to see what his latest comments are. So let's get to it. First, let's watch Bloomberg Technology to find out what is breaking, and then we'll go back a step in the past to visit Colonel Chris Wyatt and Steve Bannon, and then we'll be out of here.
Let's also talk a little bit about Tesla, because the stock is sputtering after that feud between President Trump and Elon Musk reignited on social media. the president posted that the Tesla CEO gets more subsidies than any human being in history. That post came after Musk bashed Trump's spending bill, threatening to unseat any lawmakers who support that bill if it's the last thing he does on this earth. Joining us now with the latest is Bloomberg Tech co-host Ed Ludlow there. So this has been simmering for a while. You think back to the breakup, if you wanted to call it that, about a month ago. It was over these issues.
Yeah, June 4th, 5th, and 6th. On the subsidies issue, Bloomberg at the time, that first week of June, calculated it's not just subsidies, but subsidies, grants, and other incentives were about 25 billion. The New York Times has subsequently said across all of Elon Inc., but it's predominantly Tesla and SpaceX, it's a number nearer to 40 billion. The main sort of point of tension here is that what we used to call the Trump trade in the context of Tesla, that was a boost to the stock prior to the election in November, and at points in the first half of the year where the president's commentary supported the idea that Musk's close alignment to the stock would support its broader objectives, is kind of reversed. The Trump trade is now very difficult for Tesla. But again, you know, it's a little bit of the president said, Musk said. With the point of the big beautiful bill you just went through with Tyler, Elon Musk has at least been consistent that he's welcomed scrapping incentives for direct consumer incentives for Tesla, because he feels that Tesla's lower cost base makes it more competitive against other American car makers.
In terms of this fight, though, it does look like the super genius who started Tesla is being outsmarted by President Trump. He caved in and pulled back his Epstein, which had to be his Trump card, right? His Epstein accusations early, although his stock is still worth, $1 trillion.
Yeah, there were essentially three claims from the president this morning outside of the White House, right? The first was he was asked a question by a journalist, would you look at deporting Elon Musk? And the president answered in the affirmative. I would point out that Musk has spoken in interviews over about a 20-year period, but it was also in the 2023 biography by Walter Isaacson that Musk is a US citizen and claimed he took the oath of citizenship in 2002 in Los Angeles County. The president also said he would look at Doge and Doge turning back on Elon Musk and reviewing those federal contracts and subsidies we just discussed. But the kind of core thing here is ideological. Musk has been consistent. He believes that he's worried about the national debt pile and not worried about EV incentives that benefit Tesla. The president says the opposite, that Musk is upset about scrapping direct consumer incentives, and that you will also have seen the headlines from Treasury Secretary Bessent this morning, where he, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially says, Musk is really good at rockets, leave the finances to me. But that is the point of tension that is still there, and as Katie pointed out, has been there for a number of weeks.
Did they actually get into a fist fight? That was, reported, or that was a rumor that I saw on social media. Has your reporting uncovered any truth behind that claim?
Well, my reporting has very clearly reflected that cabinet members had real problems, not just with Musk on an ideological basis, but just operationally within the wings of the White House, in that he had access to the president and advised him on X and XYZ, and then other cabinet members would have a point of difference with the president. What we did report, if you take the case study of Jared Isaacman and his nomination for NASA administrator being pulled, when Elon Musk left Doge, various White House officials, Sergio Gore is one of the ones we named, that were very anti-Elon, basically moved quickly to say Jared Isaacman is a close ally and confidant of Elon Musk, a historic business partner of his. We don't want him to run NASA, so they moved to convince the president, based on his historic Democratic affiliations, that he should pull the nomination. There are other examples about that. I get that in that example, Sergio Gore is not... you guys see the red head? Sorry, we just broke that while we're on air.
Well,
I
tell
just
us
broke the
about
story.
it, Ed.
Yeah, sorry. There's a lot going on this morning. Sources tell us, my colleagues and I, that what has happened in the last 7 days is Musk has gone back into Tesla, and after Omid Afshar was essentially fired, Musk is now overseeing sales. So all of this sales apparatus that had reported into Omid, Elon now has direct oversight. And what sources tell us is the reason that's important is we obviously get sales.
Ayo, Black Faith, he has to. He did the first video, which is this one. that we've got over here. See? Trump versus Elon Twitter drama sparks refugee fears. He has to put aside the fears of the refugees. He has to represent. He has to give them confidence. He has to keep on, defending. He has to... What is he gonna... What is that? He calls it debunking misinformation from mainstream media and radical leftists in South Africa and in the United States. So he's going to be out here making sure that whatever the newspapers write or whatever TikTok comes out, if that threatens the comfort of the Amerikaners, he doesn't want the Amerikaners texting him those videos saying, yo, have you seen this video? So he's going to want to be ahead of the story to say, hey, nah. They're out here trying to scare you again. So we have to see it. Yo, Gomboti, let's read your comment. If Imfazwe breaks off, where will they run to now? Africa is about to be ngamla-less. And to think about it, Mzansi is the only country to have amangamla abhaya eParliament. Bro, have you been checking the next video? Ne? I'm interested, as you say, Africa is about to be ngamla-less. Check this out, ne? Check this out, I got you. He says, in another video that we're going to watch, the truth about 1,000 Afrikaners coming to America. So, beyond the 59, I heard there was another batch that left, it's only 9. So now, he's promising that there's a huge truckload now about to depart. So maybe your claims about Africa being ngamla-less are realizable. Maybe we might see them very soon. Let's go. So, you saw right at the beginning there, ne? Trump had a tweet out that said what? That said, Elon Musk is the biggest beneficiary. I get social grant beneficiary. I think I've said this in my videos several times. To say, yo, bruh, that guy is a tenderpreneur. The biggest in the world. DEI or favoritism of that kind is happening for him there as a foreigner. You see? So now, they've tried to hide it, but we done seen it and we done spoke about it. But now it has come to be revealed. They're now saying deport this very expensive foreigner here who's draining our monies. You see, Tutula is out here blocking hospitals because foreigners are coming and they are consuming the resources locally. The same is being said now about Elon Musk over there. Americans would be building their own rockets and receiving the tenders can't get in because there's a South African. So let's check this out one more time. Elon may get more subsidy than any other human being in history by far. And without subsidies, Elon would probably have to close up shop and head back home to South Africa. Eish. Yeah. Elon may get more subsidies than any human being in history by far. Yeah. And without those, he ain't going nowhere. Yeah. He may have to close shop and go to Mzansi. Bruh, Gombot, you're saying it's about to be ngamla-less. Where is he going to come to over here? Black Faith, I saw that video. He made a claim that out of those 59 pilot projects, there was a colored couple. He claims there's thousands. Claims there is 1,000 scattered all over America, and he's willing to spend money to prove that. Even. There's 1,000. all over America. Are you talking about this video? The one that I referred to, this one over here. Are you saying you saw this one? I haven't seen this one, so I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check out what you are pointing out. And quite quickly, right? Here's a dude, Kyle Kulinski, that I've covered before. I've covered him giving commentary on the local issues in the United States there. He's an antichrist, Christ hater. He's a leftist. He's that type of dude. But I listen to him. I just pay attention. So let's hear him out regarding this whole issue over here.
All right, y'all. So Elon Musk is yet again raging against Trump. So let me break this down here for you. He says the following.
Hey, yo.
The latest Senate draft bill of the big, beautiful bill will destroy millions of jobs in America and cause immense strategic harm to our country. Utterly insane and destructive. It gives handouts to industries of the past while severely damaging industries of the future. First, let's talk about this from an objective perspective. Is what he's saying true? Absolutely. This bill is a colossal disaster, both for the reasons he laid out here, but also other reasons that honestly would make him support the bill, like the destruction of Medicaid and the entire social safety net and the massive tax cuts for the wealthy, etc. But as per usual, when you're dealing with somebody on the right, even if they happen to be correct about something, they are correct for the wrong reasons. So what's the real reason why Elon Musk is doing this? Well, a few things. So first of all, in the bill, Trump stripped out electric vehicle tax credits in it. Electric vehicle tax credits, Elon Musk would have greatly benefited from those electric vehicle tax credits. In fact, he spent $240,000 lobbying.
Yo, that's that portion that I hadn't gotten, you see? So the fight, therefore, is not only over what I said, that Elon Musk is raising ideas about there being a third party, but Trump has cut him out of the gravy train. So he's feeling hurt, and now Elon Musk is attacking the big, beautiful bill again. The latest Senate draft bill. Which one is that one? But we're together. While we're here, King Ngovane. Colonel Chris Wyatt is just a grifter wanting attention. Yo, Colonel Chris, are you watching? Are you with us in the comments there? We need you to tell us what is going to happen about this relationship between these two guys. Will Elon Musk get deported? Is the refugee program still 100% guaranteed, 1000% safe, no matter what? No matter what? Even if the Steve Bannons and MAGA rise, they push out Elon Musk if possible, and then next they go for the Afrikaners. You're saying that is not possible at all. So you're in grifting. You got the facts. So please tell us what is to happen then, because it's being said here that you are grifting hard.
Being on this specific thing alone. And Trump stripped out the electric vehicle tax credits. So right off the bat here, this is destructive for him and his businesses. And now, as you all know, he is totally reliant on government subsidies to survive. He is totally reliant on. He is the biggest welfare queen in the country. Woo! Homie's taken $38 billion in U.S. tax money, $38 billion. Yeah. At the same time, he's slashing government programs for everybody else, by the way. He loots the treasury. That's what.
And then he tells us to end BEE. And now he's angry that he's been cut out of some benefits.
What he does. Okay, so that's one reason. Another reason is Elon had a very specific guy that he wanted to be the head of NASA. It was basically like Elon's little puppet to be the head of NASA. The guy's name is Jared Isaacman. And Trump stripped that guy from that position. He originally was going to put him in, then he decided, I don't want this guy in there. He got rid of him. Elon took that as a tremendous personal slight. And he felt like, oh my God, the president's screwing me. What the fuck? I gave him $270 million to win the White House, and now he's stabbing me in the back. Okay, so that's another super important reason why he's against this bill. Also, and a lot of people don't know this one, but in this bill, they actually make clear that they're denying that Starlink is going to be used in the future for the FAA. Remember, there was all talk about Elon is going to take over the FAA and they're going to use Starlink as opposed to their older system. And people were flipping out because, number one, we had 7 plane crashes under the Trump regime so far, and they were firing air traffic controllers. And at the same time, we learned, oh, look, they're going to try to switch our whole flight system over to Starlink, which, by the way, is very hackable, and there's serious issues in terms of safety with it. And so this bill says, no, we're not doing that. And then you also have... they end his special government employee role as well. They're ending his special government employee role. So basically, all the...
My babu, Elon Musk.
reasons that Elon is against this bill are completely personal in nature. It's about his power. It's about his control. And that's why he's against it, because if you were to just put all the provisions back in the bill that Elon wanted in the bill, and then you pass it, oh my God, he'd be the biggest cheerleader in the country. He'd be the biggest cheerleader in the country for this piece of legislation, even though it destroys Medicaid, even though it destroys the social safety net, even though it's a massive tax cut for the wealthy. Everything that's horrible about the bill, he likes about the bill. Everything that's horrible about it, he likes it. And so, yet again, another example of somebody on the right, even if they happen to be correct about something, they are correct for the wrong reasons. But ultimately, it looks like, as per usual, the Republican politicians broke with Trump. Lisa Murkowski ended up bending the knee. She got some exemptions from some of the worst cuts for Alaska, and so she said, okay, I'll vote to fuck over the other 49 states if you exempt my state from getting hit hard by it. That's just one example, but you got Josh Hawley huffing and puffing about the Medicaid cuts, and then he eventually bends the knee. We're going to do a story on this tomorrow, by the way, because that's super important. I want to play you what he was saying as he was actively supporting the bill. I mean, it's completely and utterly fucking Orwellian. But here we go again. So you have Elon Musk coming out against it, but ultimately it comes to naught because it was all for the fucking personal reasons that he did it. I mean, that's the bottom line. So I hope everybody crusades against this thing, but make no mistake about it. This is not an ally who's crusading for the proper position because he's concerned about all the low-income and disabled people that are going to be screwed over by the Medicaid cuts. That is not a thing. That is not the case. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe.
Come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. It's hectic out there. So, which one do we check out first? But first, let's have a look at what is recent, because one of the comments there said that Colonel Chris White is not going to talk about this, so I thought maybe he would have jumped on this, but he's not. His latest video is this the worst leadership South Africa has ever had? And it says, Pretoria fails to negotiate with Trump. 31% tariffs coming to RSA. Nah? And then he's got facts versus beliefs. Zimbabwe is not in crisis. Y'all remember just the other day, I was talking about Summer Sambit allegedly being a Zimbabwean. And I said that Colonel Chris White had done some work in Zimbabwe. And maybe there's a link between the two of them, really. So here is a video here where you see Colonel Chris White in his brightness and splendor there in his uniform, serving, doing what he was doing before he started being a YouTuber, journalist who ships Americans out of the country via chartered flight, etc., you know. So we see him there talking about crisis in Zimbabwe. And this is something from 20 what? 2019. So from some time back, right? And he's here also speaking about Zimbabwe as well. Ne? So, Samasambit, are you a Zimbabwean? We're asking that question. Colonel Chris White, being an American, when are you going to talk about Elon Musk and Trump? Because this is what you had to say the last time. Let's have a straight listen to you. But first, no? Why are Americans complaining? I thought they were all about capitalism and Trump is a businessman. But now he's a different animal because he's not using his money. He's basically the government. Isn't that the same disappointment that we have in Ramaphosa? They said that he's a businessman. It sends us back to the question and the video that Dan Corder did asking about billionaires becoming presidents. Patrice Motsepe, if he would be good or bjang. And we had Fikile Mbalula saying, yo, back to discipline. Politics is not like an event planning, soccer event, broadcasting, rights, advertising. So Trump, a businessman who is what? A celebrity. His businesses, Trump is apparently a very bad businessman. I think they said he's filed for bankruptcy 6 times. Yeah, I think it is said so. I think TV was something that really boosted him and kept him up and refreshed his career and brought him to the levels where he's at currently. So for the most part, the businessman that they have in there is a reality TV media businessman. Doesn't he also own a media company currently called Trump Media? Is it Truth Media? But we know Truth Social, that platform that he has, that is a social media platform. You see, so Trump is a media businessman, he's a celebrity, he's a YouTuber, he's just like us. And yes, that's one of the videos. You know how he loves to talk about South Africa, so there are other videos where he makes the same claim. Okay, so let's listen to what he said back then about Musk and Trump.
Well, it's already started, folks. The panic has already set in. Just moments after the so-called social media Twitter spat between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, South Africans began to panic. Oh no, the refugee program is in jeopardy. It's going to end. What will he do? Oh my. Well, anything is possible, but that's highly unlikely. Let me explain why it's highly unlikely. Donald Trump has now attached a lot of political capital and prestige to the refugee program for South Africans who are of Afrikaner ethnicity or racial minorities. That's the first thing. Second thing is it must come with a condition that someone believes a lot of things, a lot of stuff that's nonsense. For instance, the reason that Donald Trump believes that there's a blank side in South Africa is because of Elon Musk. Well, that's not true. Elon Musk is influencing Donald Trump. He and Twatterbots are doing it. That's why he's misinformed. Number one, Donald Trump is not misinformed about what's happening in South Africa. And he's not solely, or in fact, even heavily informed by Elon Musk and the issues of South Africa. To believe that means that you fall for South African media propaganda and leftist propaganda in the United States, and that you're not letting yourself be fully informed about what's actually happening.
You see, attacking the media and their comments, the leftists in South Africa or the United States. But now, we have MAGA, we have Steve Bannon, who has said, deport Elon Musk, deport the South Africans. So Trump is going to lean in that direction. Colonel Chris, I wonder what South African distraction you're going to be having when this deportation thing starts to happen. If we really get to see ICE fetch Elon Musk and harass him, yeah, I wonder what you are going to say that day, So let's keep listening.
Donald Trump is not getting his information from Elon Musk to make decisions about South Africa. Donald Trump gets the vast majority of his information from the U.S. intelligence community about South Africa. And yes, he gets influence from a few friends who are influential, but Elon Musk is not the deciding factor and never was. And for you to believe that means that you're easily hoodwinked by leftists and fake streamers. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this is now a program of record, and canceling it is going to involve a lot of things. It's also going to cost Donald Trump a lot of political capital. It will make true, although it wouldn't be true, it will confirm the lies of the leftist media that Trump was misinformed, that there's nothing happening in South Africa, there's no racial discrimination. Canceling it now. The political cost of that would be intense, domestically and in foreign relations for Trump.
The implications of that would be intense. So you say Trump is deeply invested. He's got a lot of political, political whatever, invested in this. And so this is unlikely to back down unless something catastrophic actually happens. So what do you think about what's happening with Musk? Is that catastrophic enough? If the biggest South African, the richest man on earth, can be deported, would that turn the tide a little bit? Would that put the Amerikaners in jeopardy in any way? Are any of you listening, Amerikaners over there? Think about it. If Elon Musk can be put out, what is your comfort there? If a South African gets put out and it's news, what happens to the South African white people who remain there? Especially you new ones. Your community probably knows you. They've probably noticed that, hey, those seem like a couple of South Africans there and their kids, and you live in their neighborhood and they know who you are. And if they see Musk getting deported, they'll come knocking on your door asking, hey, yo, man, seems like this place is hostile territory for people of your sort. You are not of our culture. How about you Futsek?
So take a deep breath. The refugee program is unlikely to have been affected in any way by this ridiculous, childish, churlish spat going on between Trump and Musk, which is, frankly, one has to wonder if it's not simply an intentional misdirection while other things are going on. Of course, this all started when Elon Musk attacked President Trump's big, beautiful bill, calling it an abomination. And to be fair, as I said at the time, Elon Musk has a point. This increases the debt cap by $5 trillion, doesn't get rid of debt, and puts the United States on the verge of insolvency. So Musk has a point. And as I said at the time, Musk's comments were not attacking.
Colonel Chris, you're on the verge of insolvency. Sir, aish. Man. How about you sell us some B-2 Spirit bombers over there? I mean, we can take them at a reduced price or something like that. I hear there's like 19 in existence, and of the total, only some of them are actually working. Some have been put aside because of maintenance issues. Pass us some B-2 bombers over there. We'll buy them. We'll help your insolvency a little bit. You're holding on to too many weapons over there. You know, spread them across. Get your money back. You know, salvage value. Something like that. If ICE comes for Elon, Colonel will talk about the tariffs against South Africa. By the way, Neo, he mentioned you in one of his videos. He doesn't like you calling him out. Oh man, yo, please get me that video. I know he doesn't like, and he comes into the comments and he makes it known to me that I'm irrelevant and nobody wants to hear anything that I have to say. So, I mean, sticks and stones, man. As long as he just talks and he allows freedom of speech, you know, and he recognizes international law, it's all right, man. Let's talk. I mean, we are seeing this talking from the examples of people in the United States. This level of freedom of speech, we are assimilating. You see the Kyle Kulinskis. You see how your people protest over there. You see how they stand up for freedom, their liberties, you know, their freedom to express themselves. We are wanting some of that. We're tired of all of the nasty United States influences like booty shaking, OnlyFans, Pornhub, woke movies from over there. You know, godlessness that your people are distributing all over your movies and your music. And yeah, man, big tech, you know, the influence of Zionism, we don't want none of that, man. We want the ability to talk on YouTube. Here's the platform. And by the way, Colonel Chris, when I was monetizing my channel, I recognized when I was watching some of the videos, a tutorial about how to fill in the tax forms, etc., etc., I realized there that, wait, it seemed like South Africans is among a certain list of countries where the earnings of YouTubers on the YouTube Partner Program, they are in a sort of tax exempt situation. In the United States, apparently 30% of your revenue is being taken. So I recognized, okay, so man, we are highly favored and we should take this advantage. What would the problem be? So let's keep talking out here. I'm just asking some questions. Black Faith, I'll have to search for it, but I'll send the links when I get. This Madala makes a lot of videos, but I know it was after the failed parade. He was pissed off at everyone that day. Oh, and Kombot, they are coming for you, Mfet. Man, ain't nobody afraid of nothing here, man. Ain't nobody afraid of nothing.
Trump, they were attacking the bill. The bill, this increases the debt cap by $5 trillion, doesn't get rid of debt, and puts the United States on the verge of insolvency. So Musk has a point. And as I said at the time, Musk's comments were not attacking Trump. They were attacking the bill. The bill is the responsibility of Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives. It's his responsibility, and the Republicans who lead the House of Representatives to write this bill and get it done. They wrote the bill, not Trump. Now, Trump sent a budget to the House of Representatives, and they took Trump's budget and created a bill. So if there's any blame here about this bill, it belongs on the House of Representatives, which have passed it and sent it to the Senate, not for Trump. Trump didn't get everything he promised, but he got most of it. And that's the thing, it's so frustrating. First off, Trump was going to eliminate the solar credits and the EV credits. That was going to go away. We've known that all along. That was one of his campaign promises. Trump was also going to give us no taxes on tips and no taxes on overtime. That's in the bill. Trump also was going to reduce government spending. We knew that. Musk was brought in for Doge. So what is the dispute about? Musk doesn't like the bill. Trump loves the bill. But both began to act a bit foolishly, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Musk attacking the bill and Trump taking it as a personal attack when asking the White House. His best response would have been simply to say, look, Elon and I have a disagreement on this. I'm not sure what his disagreement is. He was here the whole time. He ran with me in the campaign. He knew what my campaign positions were, and this is what went into the bill that Congress has put together. We can sort this out. But rich men and their toys don't always play so nice, and that's where we're at. So for South Africans who think that this will affect the refugee program,
yes, anything's
possible. But it's highly unlikely that the refugee program will slow down, be stopped, because the two aren't connected. Elon Musk and the refugee program have nothing to do with each other. And if you believe they do, then you are gullible and you listen to Cockprot24 and the Toilet Paper Record and other fake news sites in South Africa that spread propaganda on a daily basis. Or you're listening to right-wing South Africans who like to lie to you.
Hey, Kaizini.
My laughing is not hurtful, it's healthy. Thank you very much for that.
You understand what I'm saying? So, who was it? Gombot. You say Moja again. Ayo, man, I wish they can come for me and do some content about me. You know what I'm saying? Give me some acknowledgement. And tell some viewers, my channel is down. So please, make some comments about me or something. Please give me some relevance. I need some. So come for me, please. Sound is off. Yo, you serious? My sound is off. Yo, hold up. Hey, baby. Yo, what's up? Message retracted. Oh, so it's still working? You're bad. Okay. So, is Chris saying Trump was lying when he said this is what Elon wanted during the meetings? Aye, this madala. Yo, okay, so, oh no, that's Kumboti saying you're my bad and Black Faith asking the question. Let's continue listening to hear what he is fully saying. I'll try to give comment on that.
To convince you not to leave the country so they continue to make profit off of you instead of the economy collapsing. That's on you, who you choose to believe. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to the program, but my analysis is the program will continue and that it has accelerated. And I have indicators that the program has, in fact, been accelerated since President Ramaphosa went to the White House and insulted President Trump by lecturing him and interrupting him and then denying what was happening in South Africa. I mean, can you just believe what happened there? Mr. President, have they told you where this is? I've never seen this before. To which Trump said, it's in South Africa. Yeah, that was one of the golden moments of this. The other golden moment, of course, was when Trump was set up with a question from a South African reporter. And the South African reporter said, President Trump, do you still believe that there's a white genocide in South Africa? To which President Trump said the following: I'm not really convinced. Yet every newspaper in South Africa, every commentator in South Africa on the traditional media outlets, and all the Western media here in the US and Europe said that Trump pushed a white genocide narrative. He did not. He did not. He talked about the murder of farmers in South Africa and showed evidence of it, misstate a few things. That didn't stop the program. This will not stop the program. Take a deep breath. The dispute between Elon Musk and Donald Trump is just a temper tantrum between two fantastically, obnoxiously, sickeningly wealthy individuals whose egos...
A temper tantrum between two fabulously wealthy... What? Let's hear. Just a temper tantrum. You did not foresee what would happen in the future. Correct, Colonel Chris? So you are a mortal, like all of us. So... a little temper tantrum, maybe still correct, this time more so, because Elon is mad at the tax EV credits being taken away. So there's his tantrum again. So now it's reaching epic proportions because he's also now planning to open up a political party. Is that what he's going to do? And Trump is looking to deport him because he's really pushing it. He's really gunning it. So fabulously wealthy, obnoxiously big, beautiful billionaires, say what?
This will not stop the program. Take a deep breath. The dispute between Elon Musk and Donald Trump is just a temper tantrum between two fantastically, obnoxiously, sickeningly wealthy individuals whose egos are the size of the River Ganges. Now, for those of you who will come back and say, whoa.
Yeah, just two white guys with their big egos.
Are you speaking ill of Trump and Musk? I'm not. Not speaking ill of either one. It's simply a statement of fact. The gentlemen have massive egos. Ooh. And the egos were attacked and bruised, and this is what they did. Acted like 6-year-olds, 2-year-olds throwing their toys out of the pram. Anyway, folks, that's the situation. Take a deep breath. Refugee program continues, and we'll have more coverage of the refugee program as it advances and more interviews with people who've arrived in the States should they choose to come on the program. And there you have it. Everything's fine. Take a deep breath. Stop the prot, the nonsense. Stop the chatting. Stop the cafe clutch, old Tani conversations. Nothing against Tanis, but you know what I'm talking about. Stop your rumor mongering. Stop your rumor mills. Because that's one thing that South Africans are very good at producing. Rumors. Stop listening to them. No change in the program. Just a spat between two fabulously wealthy guys who are acting like children.
Fabulously wealthy guys. Okay. So let's come to the future now. Yesterday, more Amerikaners coming. Let's hear about that.
Welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania with another update on this refugee situation for South Africans. On the 27th of June, 2025, the Washington Post ran an article by Sylvia Foster-Frau that's entitled, Trump Officials Plan to Resettle 1,000 Afrikaners While Blocking Other Refugees. Now, that's fake news. and I'll tell you why. Starts out saying refugees that a federal judge had ordered the Trump administration to admit are being barred from entry under the president's travel ban, even as Afrikaners are allowed in. Again, that's a lie. The Trump administration is ramping up its resettlement of white South Africans while simultaneously moving to bar entry for refugees from other countries that fall under the president's travel ban, according to a document reviewed by the Washington Post and a court filing. Now, that's misuse of information. It's also fake news. The refugee program for South Africans is not for white South Africans. It's for racial minorities, including coloreds and Indians. The U.S. Embassy website clearly states that, and that has been the case since the 12th of May. And this journalist, Ms. Foster-Frau, apparently is too busy to check on that or is intentionally misleading people because that has been up since the 12th of May.
In writing, are there actual coloreds, Indians, and Chinese who have been part of the Afrikaner refugee program? Seems like that's in text, but in actually putting a colored from Mitchell's Plain onto the plane, I don't know.
That's nearly 2 months ago. She continues, officials are moving to block refugees that a federal judge had ordered the administration to allow in after President Trump ground the refugee resettlement program to a halt, according to a Justice Department record submitted in a court proceeding. Well, that's selective reporting. Some Afghans have begun arriving in the United States in the month of June. This is after the freeze ended, but no mention of the Afghans that have been arriving here. She continues, the travel ban would also apply to the more than 12,000 refugees who had flights booked for the U.S. travel after February 3rd and who had a federal judge said must be allowed in a case-by-case basis.
Yo, Mkombut, that opposition, which you're asking about, which is what Black Faith talked about, funding Trump's opposition. So will that opposition be Republican or Democrat? It would be the Democrats. So he's headed back to the left, or he's starting a new center-left Nyana political party to oppose the extreme right that is occupying the White House right now in the form of a MAGA, what did the EFF call him? The Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan.
Under the appointment of a special master. Why? The law says nothing about the appointment of a special master for many refugees. That's not the role of a special master. Why is a special master involved here? This looks like more judicial overreach. Didn't we just settle this with a Supreme Court decision on Thursday? And she continues, thus far, only one group has been allowed to enter the United States as refugees under Trump. Afrikaners, the descendants of Dutch.
Yeah, well spotted there. See how he titled the video, making it sound like it's for Afrikaners, but in the video, he's saying it's not for Afrikaners. So he's clickbaity as well. He likes to have his channel full of Afrikaner, getting their love, and then it's for minorities. Especially when criticized for this being solely for a extra narrow minority of elite Afrikaners getting to be brought to the United States. That's when he says this is for minorities. But then, yes, indeed, look at how his video is titled.
Settlers. Again, that's a false as refugees under Trump. Afrikaners, the descendants of Dutch settlers. Again, we just settled this with a Supreme Court decision on Thursday. And she continues, thus far, only one group has been allowed to enter the United States as refugees under Trump. Afrikaners, the descendants of Dutch settlers. Again, that's a false statement. Afghans have also recently arrived in the United States. Also, more than Afrikaners have arrived. Coloreds also came over. In addition to that, Afrikaners are descendants of Dutch settlers? No. They're an admixture of German, Dutch, French, and all.
Ayo, Coloreds went. Let's see some.
Oftentimes, Khoi, San, and Asian as well. Calling them descendants of Dutch settlers is partially accurate. She continues, the president claims that they are facing racial discrimination and genocide, which she puts in quotes, an allegation that lacks any evidence. Well, that's just simply a lie. There are over 145 laws denying equality under the law on the books in South Africa. Now, one can legitimately debate whether there is a genocide ongoing in South Africa. Any objective observer would freely admit nearly every step towards genocide that's internationally recognized has been surpassed. in South Africa, if it's not a genocide, is certainly on the verge of one based on the indicators. Trump is trying to prevent one.
Okay, so there's a capitulation from there being an active genocide to now South Africa being on the verge of one, according to the standards, etc., and the measurements that can see this impending. And what is happening in Gaza, according to the same standard? Is that an actual genocide, and we are still in the preliminary phases heading towards one?
She says a document reviewed by the Post states the administration plans to have resettled 1,000 white South Africans in the U.S. before the end of September. Now that's interesting, and I suspect very encouraging for South Africans who want to escape. But it does raise the question, who is breaking the law and sharing that information with the Washington Post? Also, why is the author demonically obsessed with saying white South Africans? They aren't white South Africans. They're South Africans suffering unjust racial oppression. That includes Indians and coloreds. Start telling the truth. The story continues. Refugee resettlement advocates question why the government is putting up roadblocks for a group of refugees that had been vetted and ordered by a judge to be admitted into the U.S. while clearing the way for others. Well, it's a fair question, but the answer was provided in the executive order pausing the program for 90 days. It's strange how the Post neglects to share that info. The reason, they do state later on part of it, but the reason why Trump isn't accepting vetted refugees is because of pervasive fraud under the Biden regime. President Trump froze those arrivals to determine if they were actually legitimate arrivals. Biden imported millions of people here and hundreds of thousands of people illegitimately under the refugee program who weren't properly vetted, and we can't prove who they were. Trump froze that to deal with the fraud. Now, to be fair, later in the article, the author does mention Trump's national security concerns, but that's not a highlight in reference to what's going on. It leaves the reader wondering what legitimate basis does Trump have for doing this? Well, he has a basis. Melissa Keeney, a senior attorney for the International Refugee Assistance Project, claims that the Trump administration simply doesn't want to process other refugee populations other than the white Afrikaner population. Again, this is race hustling, and that is an opinion, not a fact, something the Post neglects to share with their readers. That's her opinion, Melissa Keeney. That's not a fact. First off, she's factually wrong. It's not a white Afrikaner population. This is a racist narrative that's being published by the Washington Post and quoting this attorney who either doesn't know what she's talking about or is intentionally race hustling. Sad. Now, the author states that in mid-May, the first group of 49 Afrikaners arrived in the U.S. at Washington Dulles International Airport. No, it was 59. It wasn't 49. Now, folks, the only item of any value I can see in this article is the claim that the administration intends to move 1,000 South Africans by the end of the fiscal year on 30 September. That means that from today through the end of the fiscal year, in 3 months, roughly 12 South Africans per day will arrive in the United States before the end of the fiscal year. Every day, 11 or 12 South Africans will arrive here. That's interesting. The intent of this article appears not to be to inform the public, but rather to stir racial animosity with its false.
Ayo, so there's more actually going? Did he say that is what is formally communicated by Trump's officials? And so I was asking the question earlier, will this refugee program slow down, stop, and perhaps even those in the United States be deported along with Elon Musk? And his view from a day ago is that there will actually be more headed that way. So these two extremes, Americans get kicked out or more start flooding in that direction. As Trump is headed towards impeachment, that is being spoken about. Really, you've got South Africans heading in that direction, looking to be Americans. And will they be fine to stay there when the country changes hands and it goes into the Democrats or Elon Musk's new party? What do you think? This Chris Wyatt is a grifter. He never gives numbers or facts for his argument. He always diverts from the question. He's a grifter looking for attention. Yeah. Yo, call it Can you hear there? Uzum is laughing with us. I hope I got that sound going. Did you hear it? Let me know in the chat so we can laugh together. Let's finish the video.
False mention of Afrikaners and whites, falsely implying and outright stating that white South Africans are the beneficiaries of this when all racial minorities are the beneficiaries. Also because the author's structure in the article emphasizes opinions over facts and is pulling at the heartstrings. Folks, this article in the Washington Post, while it's encouraging potentially for South Africans interested in the refugee program, it appears to be much more about attacking Donald Trump than informing the public. And what say you? That's what I have to say about it. Cheers.
Oh, yeah. See? So, there will be an acceleration. There won't be a deportation. What do you think is going to happen? Has he posted anything since we've been on the stream? Yes, there has been. Reaction to 3 Amigos interview, comments on AGOA. So that is AGOA South Africa. 7 minutes ago he posted something. Let's hop right into it and then that'll be the end of the stream. King Govane. In South Africa, we have bigger problems to solve instead of a genocide. One day, we should ask him if South Africa is a genocidal country. Why does he come to SA? Or we should ask him if South Africa is a genocidal country, why does he come to South Africa? Yeah? Oh yeah, you heard Ukedle. Quality journalism by the Colonel. Let's see. Yo, live in RSA. Thank you for joining, bro.
Hey folks, welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. Listen, this video is not to piss anybody off. It's not meant to piss anybody's cornflakes or upset anybody. It's meant to clarify. So I ask that people listen carefully to what's being said here, okay? Not an attack on anybody, but clarification. I think there's been some miscommunication or misunderstanding. It's important to clarify that. So unfortunately, the interview that we planned with Corne Mulder and with Theo de Jager last week while they were visiting DC didn't come to fruition because of scheduling conflicts, unfortunately. So I'm on the back foot in responding to comments that were made in an interview the 3 of them, along with Gerard Poppenfuss, had with Alex Hogue of BizNews. So I'm responding to that. So that's the context. I haven't had a chance to speak to either of them or any of the 3 to clarify that, but I want to be very clear about something here. So Theo de Jager talked about the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. And he said some of the following. First off, I got to thank him for telling the truth, which he wouldn't do anything else but tell the truth, but for clarifying what I've been telling people for months. Donald Trump doesn't get his intelligence or his information from Elon Musk about South Africa. He's not influenced by Elon Musk about South Africa, nor is the Department of State. The Department of State is full of smart people that know what they're doing, that know South Africa very well, as is the rest of our intelligence community, which informs the president and the Department of State, which has its own intelligence bureau, by the way. So I appreciate Theo de Jager pointing out that the officials that he spoke to were very well informed on South Africa. They're not exactly clueless. Not only did they understand South Africa, but they understand the Southern African Development Community and Africa, and thank you for that. I've worked with many of those colleagues. So I appreciate that. But the comments about AGOA left me puzzled because they can't possibly be correct. I think there's a miscommunication and misunderstanding. He said that they brought up the topic of AGOA, and they said, is there anything we can do to save AGOA? To which they said, yeah, we must still decide on it. Well, I don't really understand what that meant. We must still decide on it because there's no legislation pending. There's no legislation on the floor in the House or in the Senate. Last year, in April, Senate Bill 4110 from April of 2024, the AGOA Renewal and Improvement Act, was introduced by Senator Chris Coons, and it's languished. It's gone nowhere. There are currently over 7,300 bills in the House, in the Senate, but only about 7% of those bills will ever become law.
The chances of a bill being introduced by a Democratic senator during the Biden administration to renew duty-free access to America when Trump is imposing tariffs on the entire world is not remote, it's impossible. It's simply not going to happen anytime soon. That bill will die eventually. It's just languishing there. So I don't understand what they mean we have to decide. Who has to decide? The president, the White House, the National Security Council, the Department of State, they have no say in this. No say whatsoever. The bill must be brought before the president after having been signed by the House and the Senate, where it's not making any movement. Then it goes to the president for signature and become law. Then the State Department can implement it. Then Homeland Security can implement it. Then the Executive Office can implement it. But there's no law. The existing Africa Growth and Opportunity Act expires on 30 September. That's the last renewal. It's done. It's dusted. I don't understand what the officials told Teo de Jager. Maybe there's misconception here. And I think there's a miscommunication because there is no AGOA. AGOA is dead in 90 days and it's not coming back. Not unless it finds a sponsor that isn't named Chris Coons in the Senate or someone in the House that's a Republican. It won't come back. So maybe they told them more in the conversation that maybe there's some legislators they're talking to that want to renew it or come with a new bill in the next Congress. But this is dead, folks. There is no AGOA. And that's a bit puzzling. I'd like to know more about what they told Teo de Jager because he says the bullet is not through the church when it comes to AGOA. There's something that can be saved. Well, you can save a trade relationship, but not with AGOA. It's gone. It's not coming back. This is why it was critically important for South Africa to have a bilateral negotiation with the U.S., which hasn't happened. And you're going to get slapped with 31% tariffs. And yes, I understand officials don't want to hurt ordinary South Africans, but the president is the commander-in-chief. He's the chief executive of the executive branch. He has the authority to impose these tariffs. And until the ANC starts playing ball, things aren't going to change in the White House. South Africa will soon be receiving its letter from the president congratulating him for the ability to do trade in America. And here's your tariff, which at the moment is 31%. We'll see.
Ayo, the tariffs, you all know how much they like to point them and say that China, we're slapping you with tariffs as if China is going to pay something. But the clarifying explanation around this is, no, this is going to be more expensive for the consumers in the United States. What that will do to the person selling the goods in South Africa, exporting them to the United States, is it'll pull down the demand for their products just so slightly because the price went up. Price goes up, demand goes down. But then the goods would still flow. They would, right? And there would be slightly less money out of the pockets of the white farmers who are exporting these goods over there. And who's injured by that? Who's injured by this 31% in this case?
See what happens after that. Again, folks, I don't know what they told Teo de Jager. I don't know what they told Corney Mulder. I wasn't in the meetings and unfortunately didn't have a chance to do the in-person interviews here in the States. It didn't materialize last week. So I'm only responding to the comments I heard on BizNews. So I will allow that I didn't get the full story. But what I can tell you for sure is that there is no one pushing for legislation to renew AGOA. It's gone. And in 90 days, it will be history.
Let it go.
There is no way that a bill to give African countries duty-free access to America is going to get to the floor of the House or Senate, go through both of them, go through committees, and be sent to the president for signature before 30 September. So what can be saved? Nothing can be saved. Now, perhaps what they're indicating, that what they were signaling is that they're willing to negotiate and work with South Africa to keep the tariffs low or to save agriculture. That may be the case, but it won't be AGOA. AGOA is gone. Stop pinning your hopes on a non-existent piece of legislation because it's dead on 30 September. So you heard it here. You can disagree with me, but you're welcome to go look up the 7,300 plus bills before the House and Senate and see that this bill was from April 2024 and it has not gone anywhere. Just like the Afrikaner Act that Troy Nels has introduced, that's gone nowhere either. That was introduced earlier this year. It's kind of racist if you ask me because it only affects white South Africans instead of all racial minorities, but that's neither here nor there. But the Afrikaner bill is going nowhere. And also the effort to sanction senior leaders in the African National Congress and in the government of South Africa for their actions against human rights. That was introduced by the former surgeon for the president. And it's going nowhere either. Ronnie Jackson from Texas. That bill is going nowhere either. So people need to stop assuming things. Unless it's a law, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Now, Trump could decide tomorrow that no tariffs against South Africa. But do you really think he's going to do that with the likes of Cyril Ramaphosa walking around, telling jokes all the time, laughing? I thought they pulled a Trump on me. They dimmed the lights. No. You think that's going to happen?
My laughing is not hurtful, it's healthy. Thank you very much for that.
Wayne Fighting, our laughter is not being nasty, but we're trying to get the joke here. You're saying that South Africans are getting slapped with this tariff. You're just hiding the fact that the government needs to take more money out of the hands of the people so that they don't go to fornicate and be debaucherous in the way that debt has allowed them to be. The United States and its citizens, its people, access to debt, that growth from debt, we know now that it hasn't been from productivity growth. Nope. We know now that the American who's working in the current time harder than ever is getting less and less able to afford a home. And so hard-working Americans, no matter how hard they work, things are just not working out. So how have they had to get forward? It has been to get debt. And they are put in that place. They are put on a treadmill, by a devilish system that is even higher above that the government itself. It works the people there. The people there are being enslaved by that country there, man. It's hectic for them. So with all of this debt and now the big beautiful bill, as you said, threatening to increase the debt by $5 trillion, putting the US on the verge of insolvency, you need to teach your people how to step down a little bit from the luxuries and the lifestyles they've been accustomed to. There needs to be a deflation, There needs to be a deflation so that they don't feel the quick fall. Things need to get a bit more expensive gradually, right in front of their eyes, while you point at South Africans and China getting hit with those tariffs. And they know that they are paying and they can see exactly what is going on. World leaders and the scams they pull in front of people's faces, bro. You don't have the money to give aid and buy your way into the hearts of Africans that way. You don't have the money to go to war and flex muscle like that. You don't have money to repay your debt. You feel now like you've given too much, you spent too much. And so now you're throwing anger and tantrums at the people that you were buying in the form of aid and tariffs. And now your regrets for being so freely spending and using money to work people is weighing heavy on your conscience over there. And there's this toxic anger and projection. We've been ripped off. No, you've been throwing money around. And your people have had that ego as well. That, yo, we got so much money, and then wait, man. Come on, man.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
So,
with Ronnie and Mullah going to the press and saying the United States apologized for not coming to the Sherpa conference. No, because that's a lie. The United States provided professional courtesy, sent a letter and said we're not going to be able to attend because we're at the NATO summit. And then Ronnie Mullah told the press, as if people in America don't see the media from South Africa. Clueless. Anyway, I don't know what happened in those meetings. I wasn't there. All I can...
And he campaigned on bringing down the price of eggs, right? You got that covered. King Govani, thank you. The input has been solid.
I can tell you is based on the comments I heard in the Biz News interview, there's clearly miscommunication or misunderstanding of how the law works in America because AGOA is dead. If it comes back to life, I'll be happy to say it is. I've been a big proponent for AGOA for the entire lifespan of it, 25.
You need AGOA gone so that the eggs may be more expensive, so that you can take that money from American pockets, you understand, while telling them, yeah, the South Africans also took some punishment and some pain. You ain't the only one crying. We slapped them as well. Ah, man. It's becoming so clear, so apparent. Having no money, a person behaves a particular way. You know, when you're starting to panic, when you're starting to collapse, this looks like typical human behavior that can be analyzed by a psychiatrist to say, yo, man, you're showing the symptoms of somebody who's falling off and you are angry and you're calling your relatives and all you've helped to say, you ain't never give me nothing. So that is the trade deficit between the US and China. Oh my goodness. So, Sun Tzu, never interrupt your opponent while he's in the middle of making a mistake. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Colonel Chris, the people here can see through all of this and we are becoming quite educated. All is becoming clear. If you just understand that the US is broke, everything now makes sense. If you still think that they are superior and mighty country that is able to do everything, then all of this gets lost. If the US is supposed to look like they can still grant AGOA, you know, and have these low imports coming into the States, that's why Elon Musk and his EV tax whatevers have been pulled as well. It's all because of the debt. It's all because of the debt. So, ladies and gentlemen, good night, y'all. I'm glad this time I caught the live. A blessed one, guys. I appreciate all of y'all. Have a good night. I'll be seeing you in the next one.